Welcome friends to this webinar, and we have with us as our main speaker today Mr. Shiv Khera, who is the renowned motivational speaker. We all know him very well. We have heard him earlier also, and it will be a pleasure to hear him today, especially in the present scenario which we are facing because of COVID-19. We are all living under quite a lot of stress, facing a lot of challenges. And the topic selected for today's discussion is a very apt topic: how to overcome challenges and accelerate success. And we have a very apt speaker, no less than a person like Mr. Shiv Khera, who will enlighten us as to how to overcome the challenges of today's situation and how we can be motivated. Mr. Shiv Khera, we are all waiting to listen to you. Please, sir.
I'm grateful. Thanks a lot. Indeed, I feel privileged to be here.
Textlaw Education Society, established in the year 2005, is a non-profit making voluntary organization with the main objective of educating the general public and professionals on taxation, accounting, and allied matters. The society caters to the needs of the members and ensures them to keep pace with the changing times. The society also publishes various journals on tax and accounting matters. Tax Law Education Society maintains regular interaction with members and solutions are provided to their problems. The society also makes representatives to various government authorities on different laws, acts which are in the offing. At present, after the COVID-19 lockdown, we have been organizing education series on Zoom platform. We are already organized a lot of programs on taxation and economic matters. Doston, today's session will be going to be a mind-blowing, no doubt. So, without wasting much time, now I invite Mrs. Meenakshi to start the proceedings of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahuja. Good evening, friends. Tough times never last, but tough people do. We all know that this is an unprecedented time in the history of the world. The whole world is facing the dilemma and a situation of this kind where there are many challenges that all of us need to overcome. Keeping this in mind, our theme of Tales Talk today is ways to overcome challenges and accelerate success through positivity. To understand this, we are connected with Mr. Shiv Khera through this webinar. I, Meenakshi Ahuja, on behalf of Tax Law Educare Society, would like to say few words about him. Mr. Shiv Khera is one of the best motivational speaker, keynote speaker, an author, educator, and business consultant across the globe. He encourages and inspires individuals to realize their true potential. He has taken his personal dynamic messages to opposite sides of the globe, from the US to Singapore. He is the author of many books on motivation. His international bestseller book, You Can Win, has been translated in 21 languages. Over 8 million copies of his books have been sold worldwide. His 40 years of research and understanding has put millions on the path of growth and fulfillment. As business consultant, his clients include Lufthansa, HP, HSBC, Nestle, Mercedes, Metlife, and many more. Internationally, many have benefited from his dynamic workshops in over 20 countries. Mr. Khera is also a brand ambassador of Roundtable Foundation. He has been honored by the Lions International and Rotary International. We all know his trademark is winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Thank you. And now I invite Dr. Praveen Bhatia to welcome Mr. Shiv Khera and carry on the session. Dr. Praveen Bhatia.
Thank you, Meenakshi, Arun, Dr. Ravi Gupta, and Dr. Ahuja. You are doing an excellent job of connecting people. We have been all, as doctor also, and politicians also, everyone is of the view that social distancing is important. But today, in this era, distant socializing is also important. When we have got enough time to spend at our homes, and if we are connected together and we can be motivated to stay positive, that is the need of the hour. And I think there cannot be better person than Mr. Shiv Khera, who has already motivated so many people. He's a close friend for years and years now. He's an excellent human being. So we are requesting Mr. Shiv Khera to enlighten us on how to stay positive in this crisis time for next 35 to 40 minutes. And then we'll be taking the questions from all our viewers who are there on Zoom, on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live. And we would love that we take out all the pearls of wisdom from Mr. Shiv Khera. Over to Mr. Shiv Khera. Please be ready to chat, to send questions and participate and make it a absolutely live session. Stay home, stay positive, save lives, save healthcare workers also. Mr. Shiv Khera, please.
All right. Parveen, I'm grateful for your kind words and the words that were mentioned by Meenakshi. I didn't know that I could do all those things that you did mention. I was not aware of that. And Arun talked of the mind-blowing session. Well, well, let's see how much mind we can blow. But certainly I want to thank you people to organize this, and especially Arun, who I've known just like you for the last 25 odd years, 20 years. And the kind of work that Dr. Ravi Gupta and Dr. Ahuja and Arun put together, I think they are probably the most knowledgeable people in the country on taxation. So I'm grateful that they've been giving it back to society. So let me kick off right from here. Now, first of all, I want to make a disclaimer that the way I see things, none of us have the answers. None of us. Certainly, I don't have it. Now, given that, today, with the kind of crisis that we are facing, the challenges that we are facing, where the virus is invading cities, hospitals are overcrowded, medical equipment, there is shortages, death rate going up, jobless rate going up, unemployment going high, factories closing, orders are being canceled out. With this kind of a scenario, the whole thing, the world has literally shaken up. Now, with that scenario, the only thing I can say is that, look, this one sentence that I'm going to be saying right now, I'm going to repeat at least 3, 4, 5 times later. Number one thing is, let us not overrate the crisis or threat that we are facing. I repeat, let us not overrate the crisis or threat that we are facing. Number two, let us not underrate our own strength to fight this back. Are you with me, sir? Let us not underrate our strength to fight it back and overcome this. And that is the only way we can come out as winners. And there is no other way. Now, this crisis literally is it is creating some major issues for all of us. I would put in this way. One, it is creating 3 ways. One is life is a concern to people. Life has become a big issue to people. 2 is livelihood has become a big issue to people. And 3rd, lifestyle has become a big issue to people. Now, when we talk of life, the biggest concern today people are facing is, am I going to be the next one? Am I going to be part of a quarantine next one? We don't know, are we doctors, nurses, security people, or anywhere, whether we are inside or outside, it doesn't matter. Life is a major issue to all of us. Number two is livelihood. People, their incomes have stopped, factories have closed, lays off, people have been unemployed and laid off. But interestingly, our incomes have stopped, but people who are on our payroll, our expenses continue. So now the big question is, how do we sustain? Do we have backup power enough to sustain ourselves? Now, I remember going back about 35, 40 years ago, we had a pension tax consulting practice in the US. And when we did financial planning for our clients, we used to, at that point, tell them that, look, keep at least 6 months of your income as emergency fund. Emergency fund means you might need to access that money within 24 to 48 hours, because accidents and emergency never warn you in advance. Are you with me? Accidents and emergencies never give you prior notice. Therefore, people are concerned, what if I don't have a job? What if my business stops? I have no income. Can I have sustenance powers without income? So livelihood has become a big issue. And the important thing is, what good is life if we don't have a livelihood anyway to begin with? And now the important thing, and along with that, we used to always advise our clients that 6 months of your money ought to be in emergency fund, and 6 months of your income should be in opportunity fund. Now, you can make it 3 months, 6 months, whatever you want to. The opportunity funds are there where you might have access to those monies within the next couple of weeks or maybe in a couple of years. It's not the end of the world. That is nice to have, but it is not survival. Therefore, that is a second big issue that is being faced. These are challenges that all of us are facing today. And the third challenge is our lifestyle. See, all of a sudden, overnight, the world is a different world today. See, we used to go out in outings in zoos and the animals were in cages earlier, but today we people are locked up in homes and the street animals are moving free outside. The bottom line is, today, it's a very, very different world. Now we have to handle different, all this put together is giving a lot of stress and anxiety to people. Now, question is all anxiety bad? Answer is no. All stress is bad? Answer is no. Many times it is our stress that literally pushes us to look for solutions to overcome problems, because without that, we wouldn't be able to do it. Hence, we cannot avoid stress. Anybody who says they are totally stress-free, they need to go to a lunatic asylum. That's it. Nobody in this world can be stress-free. How can it be? All we can do is we can manage stress. And that's about it. Now, with that in mind, you see, literally, nature is pushing us to look for solutions now. During this crisis, I want to share with you something. What is happening? Many people's savings are wiped out. Banks, I'm talking of the Great Depression that took place in 1929 and 30. Great Depression took place at that time. Savings were wiped out at that point. Banks failed. 15 million people were without job. 15 million people were unemployed. Now, 15 million people in 1929 and 30 is probably, at that time, population was much lower than what it is today in the US, and probably it amounts to anywhere from 50 to 100 million people. That is probably the equivalent as we are facing today. Now, with that in mind, unemployment went up very high. But one thing has always happened through history. Whenever unemployment has gone up self-employment has also gone up. Let me repeat, this is very important, Arun. Whenever unemployment has gone up, self-employment has also gone up. And this is where some of the greatest people overcome challenges, and they created some of the biggest businesses that time, and which have become literally household words in our life today. Now, what are the challenges that we are facing today? We are facing three major challenges. One is a physical challenge. Physical pertains to medical. I'm not qualified doctor. You see, medical doctors are more qualified to talk about it, but it has literally forced us to think about our basic hygiene, which when we were little kids and growing up, and our parents taught us that when you come from outside, always wash your hands. Before you eat your food, wash your hands. When you come from the bathroom, wash your hands. When you touch currency, wash your hands. This is all the things that we learned at that time, which probably many of us remember, maybe some of us forgotten about it. And I don't know if we have passed on those hygienic values to our kids or even our staff in our offices and homes, our people at home, our help. So we need to look at it, the physical aspect of it, which a lot of information from the WHO has been circulated on WhatsApp information. Medical doctors have been talking about it. And I think I would leave it to them to take care of this part here anyway. Now, the first part is physical. Second part that is impacting us badly is economical. And the third is psychological. And let me address the economical side part. See, we are looking at our current financial scenarios. Where are we? Do we have sustenance powers? Do we have income or not? And that is the time when people started thinking of wealth creation, many times people only created wealth, but they forgot to create passive income. I repeat, today, many people who are professionals, who are working outside, even entrepreneurs who are working outside, they earn today, they go actively to earn their income, and that is called active income. If they stop or they are sick or they are unable to go out, their income stops. Therefore, people never realize the importance of passive income. So we need to fall back on our passive income. Now, let me share with you how, when unemployment goes up, how self-employment also goes up, or how did it go up, at least in the Great Depression. Let me share with you one little thing. During the Depression, as I said, many people went out, banks failed, and savings were lost for everybody. There was one gentleman at that point by the name of George Jenkins. He could not take risks because he didn't have a whole lot of money. So he looked at playing it safe, and in his neighborhood, there was an empty shack right around there. It was an abandoned shop. So to play it safe, he opened up a shop with durable, non-perishable consumer goods, with one thing in mind, that if he's not able to sell those goods, at least he can use them. Here, look at the psyche and the mindset of those people. He said, if I'm not able to sell, they will not perish. At least I can use them in my house. That guy started in 1929. And today, they have a turnover of close to $30 billion with 1,000 stores, net worth of close to $8 billion. And that name is Publix Supermarket. They have 1,000 stores in the United States. Now, I'm going to share with you a couple more. Now, that doesn't mean that all of us can do the same thing. Now, coming back to another person by the name of Gallo, they were brothers in California. These people started getting grapes from there, started crushing grapes, and started making wine, and started making a little winery out of that. And gradually, and because of the depression, recession at that point, they couldn't sell very well, and they sold 50% below market. And today it is called the Gallows Winery, and they are one of the largest in the world. Now, that happened again in the Great Depression. And a third guy by the name of Simpleton or something like that, this guy had a potato farm in Idaho. And he just cultivated potatoes, and he said, what we can't sell, we will eat in a home. That's how we started out. And gradually, as he was not able to consume everything, some of his potatoes started rotting. Then he devised at that time a way to preserve them, and he created a freezing little machine there, probably which is what the freezer, which is called the freezer today. And just think about it. This man today accounts for 33% of United States of French fries. How do you like that? Now, I'm not saying that you and I, all of us, will start that way and reach $35 billion. I'm not saying that. May not happen. But my only point I'm trying to make is, and these people, they had a positive mindset. By the way, they all faced problems. The problems were the same. You see, in tough times, as Meenakshi said, tough times don't last, tough people do. In tough times, some people break records while some others people break themselves. I repeat, under the same set of circumstances, some people break records while others break themselves. We have to look at ourselves. Where are we? Now, it is easier said than done for people like me or you or somebody else, because we are living in homes, maybe they are fully paid, we don't have mortgages, we don't have EMIs, and we are not daily wage earners where we earn in the morning and evening we have to buy food. There are people like that. You see, people are divided into three different categories. One are the super rich. They are the millionaires, hundreds of millionaires, and those are the Adanis and the Ambanis and the Tatas and the big guys. They don't have a problem, by the way. They do not have a problem. Absolutely not. They're the super rich guys. But there's another breed of people, which is the middle class, where people like me and some others fall here. That is where we have to look at our own reserves and resources and see how we can work it out. And the third is the poor. That is the one which is hurt the most, who is a daily wage earner, who gets hourly paid, and his income has stopped all of a sudden. And now the big question is, can he get back to work? Will he have a job? Now, I was talking to a banker the other day, and he said to me, he said, Mr. Khera, you know what has happened is we are working with skeleton staff. And what we are doing is we're calling all our customers and clients, including the senior citizens, asking them, are you okay? Is everything good with you? We are trying to bring all the people who used to do physical banking, we are putting them on a digital platform today, so that they can permanently go on digital platform. And not only that, we are actually calling senior citizens who are lonely. And we are asking them, is everything okay? Can I do something more for you? Look at the extension, how they have gone beyond the call of duty and saying, let me see beyond banking, what can I do for you? And then I asked him, I said, since you are working with such staff and you're putting everything on digital platform, and tomorrow and you can work very well and you can function very well today, but tomorrow you might realize that you don't need all those people anyway. They were excess staff to begin with. Now what do you do about that? He said, that is something that we will come later and we will address that. But what I'm sharing is the world will change. The world will change drastically. And even guys like me, I mean, I was learning SMS from my grandson till a few weeks ago. This is my first webinar I'm doing myself. I didn't even know how to turn the computer on. And I've gone through a couple of these programs, and now I feel so comfortable that I can handle a few things. Things will change, and things will change permanently on an ongoing basis. So there are some things that are going to be temporary, and there are some things going to be having a long-term impact. Now, you see the biggest impact, it is not only happening with you and me, people like us, but it is going to be happening with the countries also. You see, at this time, there is no country who is looking for a GDP going back 6, 7, 8%. Nobody's looking at it. All countries are talking of that their GDPs are going to be minus 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 8%. Who knows what? Nobody knows what is coming. And we have got a lockdown period of 3 months. Let me ask you, which is a 90-day period. Let me ask you, on the 91st day, is every factory going to be opening up? Is everybody going back to work? Are all those people who migrated, are they going to come back? Answer is no. This is probably going to take maybe 6 months to 1 year at least, if not 2 years. We don't know. Nobody knows. We don't know. So there are multiple things that are going to impact our short-term and long-term financial situations as we go along. So the economic aspect of it is going to be crucial. But going forward, there's nothing we can do what happened in the past. But going forward, I will very strongly, now I remember why did we do all those things, the planning that we did for our clients. I would strongly recommend that people must have 3 months or 6 months of income as emergency fund and 6 months of income of opportunity fund. And I'm talking of investment is separate. Now, let us come to the third aspect. One is physical, second is economical, and the third. And let me also share with you one more thing, that there are many people working from home. And I asked this banker, I said, tell me, working from home, is it working really? Is our output the same while we're working from home? And his answer was, probably the 80-20 rule applies. 80-20 rule applies. And the 80-20 rule applies is that 20% of the people maybe have become even more productive. They're responsible people. They have self-discipline. 80% people may or may not have it. Their output probably might go down. And I said, how do you measure? He said, there are some things that we can measure, but everything you can't measure. So therefore, you have to start looking at it. You see, some people who are not disciplined, and if the integrity levels are in question, just working from home is not a paid vacation. Are you with me? Folks, working from home does not mean it is a paid vacation. We have to start looking at it in the right manner. If you're getting paid, then we need to deliver. So these are short-term and long-term issues as we go along. Now let us come to the third one, which is the most crucial part, is the psychological, which is the emotional side. You see, folks, the biggest challenge that we people are facing today is our psychological side. We are at home. At one time, when we were working, we were in upswing. We had no time. We had no time for our families. We had no time for ourselves. We had no time for our health. We had no time for exercising. We had no time. You know something? The funny part is we had all the time, but we messed up our priorities. You know something? And by the way, I'm not here as a preacher. I'm guilty. I am guilty myself. I messed up my priorities. And when people mess up their priorities in life, you see, look at this. The amount of time-saving devices we have today, we have never had that many in history. And yet we don't have what? We don't have time. You know why? Because we messed up our priorities. And I repeat, I'm guilty myself. And when we mess up our priorities, we forget to distinguish between what's important in life and what is urgent in life. Urgent may or may not be important, and important may or may not be urgent. But you see, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. See, health is important. Exercising every day is important. But how many do it? But if we realize, but if I have But if I ignore my health long enough, if I have a crucial meeting tonight, and if I cannot exercise tonight, health is important but not urgent, which means if I'm not able to exercise tonight, it's not the end of the world. But if I ignore my health long enough, guess what happens? I land up in the hospital. See, in life, relationships are important, but they're not urgent. But if we ignore relationships long enough, guess what happens? We start talking to our lawyers. Are you with me? We start talking through our lawyers. Whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. So when we are talking of psychological issues, which are the major ones, which is what is causing stress. And this is where emotional strength is crucial. People who are emotionally weak, they have greater problems facing this crisis. People who are emotionally strong, they are able to overcome these things much, much, much better. That is why today it is said EQ is a lot more important than IQ. So you look at some of the most intelligent people are in the IITs. I mean, they have tested out a few million people to get only a handful of people into the IITs. But guess who has one of the highest suicide rates? They're the most intelligent people. But are we able to cope up with the stress? That is the big issue here. And I share with you, this is time where we can get a little handle on our emotional strength, emotional quotient that we call it. If we can get a good strength out, this is time to build it, we can overcome a lots of things in our life. Now, I would share something. Earlier we didn't have time. Today we have time. We have all the time. But now the important thing is, what are we doing with that time? There are some people who are sitting in front of the TV 12 hours a day. 12 hours a day. And they keep flipping channels and they keep counting who died here, who died there. Let's look at the other channel. Let's see how many people died here, how many people died. Okay, so what? So what? And at the end of the day, the guy is depressed. He can't sleep at night. He's got a problem. He wakes up tired. I mean, what the hell are you doing? You look at this. In fact, that's all they do is watch the TV. On the lighter side, let me share with you. A man visited his friend, asked him, he had bought a new TV. He asked him, how much did the TV cost you? He said, $1,000. Oh, he said, how many hours do you watch this TV? He said, 3 hours a day. By the way, 3 hours a day is not out of line. There was a survey conducted in the US which said an average American watches 3 to 4 hours of TV per day. And I'm not surprised, balance of the world, at least in India, probably the numbers are the same. And you know what the friend said at that time? This TV didn't cost you $1,000. He asked him, you watch 3 hours a day. What is your time worth? He said, I make $100,000 a year. And he said, do you know what is your hourly rate on the $100,000? He said, $50 an hour is your hourly rate on your time value. He said, do you realize you watch this almost 1,000 hours per year, which means 3 hours per day multiply 7, that is 20 hours per week. That is 1,000 hours per year. This TV is costing you $150,000 per year. Hello? Are you with me? This TV is costing you $150,000 per year. What an EMI. What an EMI. Damn it, you could buy $1 million home with that money. You see, we don't even realize how we are wasting our lives, and we complain. Now, coming back, you see, this is time where we used to look for time to spend with the family. And here we have the time. And people who had emotional strength, their bondages will be much, much, much stronger. I share with you, we in the US, we were working in the same office because we had our own practice, I and my wife, and probably guys like Arun and Dr. Bhatia, you have a family business, you have husband, wife, and children, everybody together. I think you couldn't have a better asset right there. And I and my wife used to work together in our office. And I had one of the clients come up and they said, well, don't you get on each other's nerves? I said, what? He said, don't you get on each other's nerves? I said, you know something? We can't see enough of each other. I wish a day should have 48 hours. Don't you understand English? If a day had 48 hours, we'd love to be together. But you know something? This is where your bondage is. This is what your support system is. And it is only through your support system in life that you can overcome stress and anxiety. Dr. Bhatia, are you with me, sir? Only with a strong support system can you overcome stress and anxiety. Medicine won't do it. Medicine won't do it. You see, people who are mentally stable, they build immunity, face viruses much better. True, sir? Right, wrong? People who are emotionally, mentally strong, they build physical immunity also. And people who did not have good emotional ties within their own families, this is the time to introspect, reflect back, look at yourself, husband, wife, kids, parents, child. This is a time to reflect, introspect, check it out, and patch up those differences and build emotional ties. Because if we don't do it, we will fall apart. If we don't do it, we'll fall apart. And then you know what? We will blame it on coronavirus. We will not accept responsibility. We will blame it on coronavirus, not realize that I'm the culprit. And let me share with you, I'm not here just preaching. I've been guilty of many things myself in life. But it is time to introspect, change, and move forward. Okay, now, you see, there are many other things that we can just go on talking about it, but let me just now come to a close because I don't know how much time I've taken already, but let me come to how do we overcome the crisis, because our title is Overcome Challenges and Accelerate Success. How do we prepare ourselves to move forward in life? Okay, let me just share with you a few steps, probably close to 7 or 8 steps, and I'll keep it short and we just keep moving with it. Sir, do I have your permission to move on a little bit more? Arun, are you with me, sir?
Yes, yes, sir.
Dr. Bhatia, would that be okay, sir?
Yeah, definitely. You have
Okay.
10 more minutes? 10 more minutes?
Well, I would guess so. Maybe 10 and a half or 30.
I love that.
Doesn't matter. I would request you.
No
All right.
Okay.
Now, let me share with you some steps on how do we overcome this crisis that we are facing and prepare ourselves for launching ourselves to a better life as we go along. The first one is, I would share, about 43 years ago in Canada, I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. And he, at that point, looked at the audience and said, you people look so calm, it seems nobody has any problem. And he asked, does anybody have a problem? Everybody raised their hand. We have a problem. Who doesn't have it? Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problem? So everybody again raised their hand. We'd like to get rid of the problem. And then he said, on my way here to this congregation, I came across a few people who were lying totally relaxed, totally stretched out. They had no problem at all. How many people would like to know where it is? So everybody again raise their hand. They said 2 blocks away from here, there's a cemetery. There are people lying there all stretched out, totally relaxed. They have no problem. How many people would like to get rid of the problem? Nobody raised their hand. Everybody put their hand in their pocket. And he said one thing at that time. He said, problem is a sign of life. Remember, so long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problems, we'd be dead. And when you are running short of problems, that is a time to get on your knees, pray to God and say, God, have you stopped trusting me? Send me some problems. Now, at that point, Dr. Peel, almost 43 years ago, he gave a prayer, which since the last 43 years, I have never left my home without this prayer. And that prayer is called a Serenity Prayer. And it goes this way. And it wasn't his either. Somebody gave it 2,000 years ago. We don't know. But it goes like this. God, grant me this serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. To me, this is the gist of life. If you analyze and dissect this prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. There are some things that we cannot change. Now, this crisis that has come here, I didn't create it, you didn't create it, I don't know who created it. But maybe whoever created it, I don't care. But we didn't do it. But the whole world is facing it. And there's nothing I can do about it this time other than our hygienic things, that what we can do. But what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things that we cannot change, and we bring stress into our life. I cannot change my height. I cannot change my color of my skin. I mean, I didn't choose my parents. Granted, sometimes people are born deformed. What wrong did they do? Who knows? But the second part of it is, if I can change, then give me the guts and courage to do it. And wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. I think this is the gist of life. And that doesn't mean a person is fatalistic, because if I can change, then give me the guts to do it and courage to do it. And wisdom to know what I can and what I cannot. Now, after I went through this prayer, which I've been practicing, when I wrote my book, You Can Win, and the other book, You Can Achieve More, I took one step further the message of Dr. Peel. I said, life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. It is not a contradiction. See, look, if I ill-treat you, I've chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I light up a cigarette, I've chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I am careless and I don't practice hygienic practices, then I've chosen to invite virus, haven't I? If I drink and drive, I've chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? Life is full of choices. And life is full of compromises. You see, there are things that are beyond my control. You see, as somebody said, well, in life, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game. And sometimes nature gives us a lemon. Choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? Now, let me qualify. Life is full of choices. Success depends on the choices we make in life. Now, keep in mind, we are all free to the point of choice, but after we make our choices, choice controls the chooser, we have no more choice. Are you with me? We are all free to the point of choice, but after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser, we have no more choice. So what is success? Series of positive choices in life is called success, and series of negative choices in life is called failure. That's it. Many times I'm asked that people who are successful, haven't they made mistakes? And people who are failures, haven't they done something positive? My answer is, people who are successful, they have also made mistakes. And people who are failures have also done something positive in life. Of course they are. But you see, doing something positive once in a while does not make success. Repeating the same successful practices brings success. And making a mistake once in a while does not make anybody a failure. But repeating the same mistake again and again makes a person a failure. Are you with me? This is the real world. Okay, so this is one part of what we are talking is how this is one part is the Serenity Prayer. Second part that I would say is a remedy to overcome this crisis is, folks, limit your exposure to news. Limit your exposure to news. There are people who are sitting right there on the TV. What are you watching? It is so depressing. Well, watch the news twice a day, 15 minutes each time. Be done with it. And also, when you watch the news or your WhatsApp, at least check out the source if it's authentic or not. Check out the source if it is authentic or not. Don't start going through all this process and ruining yourself. So I would very strongly recommend limit your exposure to news as you go along and utilize your time at home in a proper manner, productively. There are many people who say sitting at home is boring. And I learned one thing, only boring people are bored. Are you with me? Only boring people are bored. This is the difference between solitude and loneliness. Loneliness says, you see, I'm not comfortable with my company. Solitude is, I enjoy my company. I enjoy my company. I enjoy it. Okay, now let me share with you the third thing that I would strongly recommend. How do we overcome people who are facing some kind of a depressions somewhere? Well, again, I'm not going to the medicine side, but let me share with you. I'm quoting Dr. Carl Menninger, the founder of the Menninger Psychiatric Center, one of the renowned places in the world. Somebody came up to him and asked, in case you got a patient you knew who was going to have an attack of depression, what treatment would you give to this person? They were expecting he would write a medication. And Dr. Carl Menninger said, if I knew for sure somebody was coming up with a depression, my only one treatment to this person would be, go to the other side of town, find out somebody who is in trouble, just help that person, and your depression will go away. Are you with me? He said, go to the other part of town, find out somebody who is in trouble, just help them, and your own depression will go away. Folks, this is common sense. And sadly, common sense has become very uncommon. And the fourth thing that I would recommend is become proactive in life. What does proactive mean? You see, absence of ill health does not mean good health. Ask a doctor. Absence of ill health does not mean good health. Just because I don't do wrong does not mean I'm a good person. Folks, are you with me? You ask a person, are you good? They'll tell you I'm good. Ask them, what makes you good? I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't tell lies. Oh, you don't cheat, then it means you're not a cheat. You don't tell lies, it means you're not a liar. And if you don't steal, it means you're not a thief. Keep in mind, absence of fault does not make a person good, just like absence of ill health does not make a person good. To be good, you got to be proactive. Now, why am I making this statement? And this might you find politically correct, incorrect, it doesn't matter. But very important thing is, I personally, I'm a very compassionate person, but I do not have any compassion for inhuman people who are terrorizing good human beings. I repeat, I do not have any compassion for enemies of humanity. There are people who are spitting at the doctors. There are people who are throwing stones at the doctors. There are people who are spitting at the cops and the police people outside. How do you have compassion? What is the matter? I mean, these are people who are ruining other people. What kind of a compassion is this? You see, any kind of magnanimity that leads to self-destruction is not magnanimity, it is stupidity. Are you with me? I mean, what is this? This is not compassion. That person is ruining people's life. I'll share with you one little example. I was addressing a few thousand people, and one person came and he said, Mr. Khera, are you a Gandhian? Are you a Gandhian? So I said, sir, can you tell me what are the criteria of being a Gandhian? He said, there are 3 criteria of a Gandhian. I said, go ahead, tell me. I'm not very familiar, but go ahead. He said, 1, Gandhi believed that you can win everybody with love. That was one criteria. Second criteria was Gandhi believed in tolerance. And third, Gandhi believed in nonviolence. He says 3 pillars are what Gandhi stood for. They are the 3 pillars. And he asked me, Mr. Khera, you haven't answered. Are you a Gandhian? So I started thinking, and I don't know what came. I just said, have you read our own epics, the Mahabharata and the Ramayans? So I just asked him, I said, I don't want to answer this question. I want to ask you a question. And sometimes a question is answered the best way by asking a counter question. And I learned that. I asked him, in the Ramayana, have you heard? He said, yeah, I've heard the Ramayana. I said, I've not read it, but have you heard it? I said, yeah. I said, tell me, was Rama Gandhian? The first criteria was that you can win everybody with love. Was Ram able to win everybody with love? So Ram failed the first test of being a Gandhian. Number 2, you should be tolerant. I said, did Ram say I'm very tolerant? You took my Sita away, you kidnapped her. Don't worry about it, it's okay. I'm very tolerant, I'll get another one. You'll take that one, I'll get another one. You'll take that one, I'll get another one. You'll take that one, I'll get another one. Did Ram say that? So I said, Ram failed the second test. A third test, you said, Gandhi said non-violence. What did Ram do? Did he have to pick up the weapon for self-preservation or not? I said, look, go through history, check it out. Our Sikh gurus, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib had to do the same thing. He said, to protect your own dignity and respect, if you don't do it, that is cowardice. And I said, if you go by these 3 criteria, I said, sir, I'm not a Gandhian then. I am not a Gandhian. I need to qualify very clearly. So we need to be very clear that compassion is good, but if compassion is leading to enemies of humanity for self-destruction, I don't think that is compassion. In my opinion, that is foolishness. Okay, let me just quickly move on to the 2 more things, and then I will wind up here. I would need another 10 and a half more minutes. Would that be okay?
Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, but this is crucial. This is very crucial what I'm sharing with you. And it's not only that I'm sharing with you, but it only reinforces what I'm talking about myself. So when we talk, it is not for the benefit of my audience. It helps me clear my own thinking. And then going further, I will share with you another way to overcome this crisis is, it is to build emotional strength, we must build high self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. You notice one thing, when we feel good, the world looks nice, productivity goes up, relationships are a lot better, aren't they? And the reverse is true. And look at this, self-esteems are inversely related to egos, but the biggest driver of high self-esteem is self-acceptance. Dr. Bhatia, this is very crucial. It is the self-esteem, the driving force behind it is self-acceptance. Now, let me qualify what is self-acceptance. This is the crux of self-esteem. It is, in my opinion, the epitome of humility. Epitome of humility. It says, how I came to this world, I don't know. It's a mystery. I don't know. I have no idea how I came here, but I'm here. And I'm here to stay. And I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. So I realize I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. When I say I'm not perfect, doesn't mean that's the way I am, take it or leave it. And that doesn't mean that I'm not willing to change. That doesn't mean I will trust it on you. That's arrogance. It says, I am not perfect. I realize it. I'm not perfect. I made mistakes. I make mistakes. I apologize for my mistakes. I seek forgiveness for my mistakes. I learned from my mistakes. I'm not proud of my mistakes. I will not repeat my mistakes, but I am not a mistake. Are you with me? I am not a mistake. You see, I accept myself the way I am. I repeat, I accept myself the way I am with my pluses and minuses. Does not mean arrogance, does not mean I'm perfect, does not mean I'm not willing to change, does not mean take it or leave it. That is absurd. That is arrogance. This is the epitome of humility, means I understand my identity, where I'm coming from. I am internally driven, not externally driven. I am getting my validation from inside, not from outside. And low self-esteem, those are people, their driving force is inadequacy. They're looking for validation from outside. That is why they feel good when you feel bad. They feel superior when you feel inferior. They don't want to lift themselves up, but they want to pull others down. See, they put on a false mask. They pretend to be what they're not. Well, why do we need to do that? But you see, this was given a great example by Charlie Chaplin. Once Charlie Chaplin was passing through Europe and he saw a big hoarding there, a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest. Now, out of sheer inquisitiveness, he said, let me participate. I'm here. And he participated. And guess what? He lost. He came at number 7. Now, when he came number 7, he started thinking the real one loses and the fake wins. And then he started thinking, Arun, should I disclose my identity? Because I'm the only one who knows who's the real Charlie Chaplin. Let's all look alike. I'm the real one. He said, should I tell them? Then he started thinking, why do I need to tell anybody who I am? Do I have to prove anything to anybody? I know my identity. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm at peace with myself. I accept myself the way I am. And this is where I don't have to prove anything to anyone in life. This is where your humility comes in, where we realize I accept myself the way I am with my pluses and minuses. I'm willing to change, but I'm not perfect. I don't have to prove anything to anybody in this world for my existence. Are you with me? Now, this is one more step. And the next step that comes in here is, I would now close it as a final step, is that this is the time to give back to society. You see, people who are rich or mediocre, this is the time to go out and help the underprivileged. We are privileged. Let me share with you. I have a home. I can eat food. I have a family. I am privileged. So are you privileged. We need to go and look around for those people who are not privileged, who are starving, who are hurting today. And this is where I really admire the Sikh community. Their whole Sikhism is based on the pillars of Kirat Kar, Vanchak, Namjap. You see, this is the concept of langar. And they are giving foods to thousands and thousands of people. And during time when the crisis was not there, I was reading somewhere, all over the world, they feed in excess of, I think, 6 lakhs people per day, globally. And that is the one community, there's a lot to be learned. They are caring people and they are daring people. They have the guts also to stand up. This is what Guru Gobind Singh Sahib taught us. Bhakti ke bina shakti nahi, shakti ke bina bhakti nahi. That is where he stood up his grounds and he fought for it. They are caring and they are daring. They have the guts to do it. And finally, I will close with one little story. There was a multi-millionaire in France by the name of Lafayette. Very rich man. And he had granaries full of grain. A drought took place. And that is the time his closest people said, Mr. Lafayette, what an opportunity. What an opportunity. A drought is here. You can jack up the prices and make double up, triple up the money right now. And you know what Lafayette said at that time? He said, when there was no drought, I made money, enough money. This is time not to double, triple. This is the time to open up all your warehouses and give it free. This is the time to share. This is the time to share. Look at the thinking. You know something? All these things don't happen by flipping a coin. They happen because good values are inculcated in people. You see, this is everything is driven value-based. So I think, I mean, I could go on 3 days program now. I mean, I don't think we are in the mood of going to a 3-day program. But all I can say is this is time to give back. This is the time to go look around, find people, and be privileged. And we ought to be grateful that we can, that God has made us privileged enough that we are in a position to serve people. In fact, it was a very interesting thing. In Singapore, I was doing a program. Somebody asked me a question. When people they have hundreds of millions of dollars and they're billionaires, why do they still keep working? Why do they still keep making more money? Why do they do it? I don't know what happened. Impulsively, I said, I can only think of 2 reasons why they keep working after they've got billion. One is the greedy guy who keeps counting his money and he keeps making comparisons. That guy has 100 million, I got to have 200 million. He has got 200, I got to make 400 million. He's got 500 million, I got to make $1 billion. So they are calculating their net worth by their self-worth. Are you with me? They are calculating their net worth by their self-worth by their net worth. They are making and they're like snakes. They sit on their money and with their treasures like this, they don't do a damn thing for anybody. They will not do anything. That is the saddest part, is that the guy who dies with $1 billion, he's dead. I would rather see they would have done something with that money and given out. And that is one breed of people who sit like that. And they are suffering from inferiority complex. And personally, I'm not fond of these people, even to socialize with them. The second breed of people who made billions and yet they want to make more. You know why? Because they realize that with more, I can do more. Look at Bill Gates. Guy's got $33 billion. He's given $32 billion. Look at Warren Buffett. He's given $35 billion. God knows what. You see, I learned one thing, that money in good hands always does good. Money in evil hands always does evil. Are you with me? And that is where I feel very strongly that every good human being who has good values like Lafayette, every good human being ought to be a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and a billionaire. They should be a billionaire. And I said lastly twice before. And here, the last one point, that this is the time to reskill ourselves and upskill ourselves. In my new book, You Can Achieve More, I wrote in that 85% of millionaires and billionaires today are first generation. But we didn't hear that. 85% of millionaires and billionaires are first generation. 85%. Only 15% are coming from inheritance. And they were surveyed, which I've quoted the source of survey. And they asked, what got you these millions and billions? You know what they said? They said, we read books. And they asked, how many books do you read? He said, we read about 50 books a year on an average. Means one book a week. One book a week. These are millionaires and billionaires. They're running big businesses. And they find time to read a book a week. And people who are unemployed, not doing anything, or even if they go to office back and forth, they don't find time to read a book. And then they were surveyed further and they were asked, what kind of books do you read? And you know what the answer was? We read only self-help books. We don't read fiction. And the reason given was, he said, from self-help book, one idea could be worth $1 million. We don't have time to waste. We don't have time to waste. One idea could be worth $1 million. And look at this. Today, people have time. And I was an avid reader of books at one time, and I used to read a book myself, about maybe 30, 40 books a year. And in between, I dropped it. But the other day, I made a mistake myself. For the first 2 days of this lockdown, I was just watching TV. Then I started watching food programs. I enjoy it. I love it. Very relaxing. But then I said, am I going to be a chef? I said, then why don't let me start reading a book? And I went in and I started cleaning my library and I picked up some books. I had read them half. I picked up all those books and I read till 6 o'clock in the morning and I never turned the TV on. I said, my God, I'm going to sleep till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No problem. I'm richer. I read my book. Look at this. Millionaires and billionaires are reading books. And one more thing is that on the books part, I have some people come up and they say to me, Mr. Khera, I've got a great book. I will lend it to you. I said, don't lend it. Give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me. Don't lend it to me. I will not give it back to you. Because when I read a book, a good book, I underline, highlight, mark, make notes on the side. Because I learned one thing, reading a good book once is never enough. I repeat, reading a good book once is never enough. And from that day onwards, I started, just about a week ago, I started reading books again. And I find it is so enriching. And I said, my God, what happened to me? I was preaching one thing. I need to start practicing myself. Many times, we develop our own blind spots as consultants. Many times you find doctors violating their own prescriptions. Many times doctors taking eating 10 times the desserts that they tell others not to have them. But the bottom line really comes down to is we can do a lot. We are not helpless, nor are we hopeless. Folks, all I can say is at this point, I wish each one of you great health, stay positive, and be well, stay home. Follow the rules that the government is giving us because they have a much bigger picture than we have. And all I can say is God bless. And if Arun and Dr. Bhatia and Mr. Gupta would call me at another time in my life, I would be happy to come back to you. God bless you folks all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shiv Khera. I think all of us have enjoyed every bit of it. And you have summed up very well that the response to the stress is more important than the stress itself. Most of us are passing through that stressful phase, but it all depends on us, how we respond to the stress, by reading books, by helping others or not, or just whiling away the time. One. Second, I would love to say and thank you for telling each and every of our global viewers that I am what I am. I don't want that people should know or people should tell me that you are this and that is why you are doing this or not doing this. I think this is very important to be wise and prioritize. Most of us should live the day. It is an excellent opportunity. If we are positive, if we are living within our own home, and if we are wise enough and we are able to prioritize, then we are as God wanted it, as virus wanted it, or that we are going to introspect ourselves and live the life as we want it. We are the masters of our own life rather than somebody tells us that you should do this or that. And in the end, I would definitely say that, as you mentioned, that prevent and prepare rather than repent and repair. Most important is that we should carry on thinking that how we should have some limited aspect we are going to spend on our health, and that will be useful at the time of crisis, and that will make a difference. So our thinking is, and we are very, very thankful to you for spending so much of time with us. I know you could go ahead for next 3 days also, but time is limited. And as you rightly mentioned, that we should know that this is our time. We should know how to manage our time. We should not blame on, I call this as excusitis. We should not suffer from excusitis. We should not ever say that because I did not have the time, I did not give it to my children, I did not give to my wife. So our time, God is teaching us that nature is very, very important. Appreciate that and take care of your own health, exercise, do the best as you can do for your diets and everything. So I think physical, emotional, economic aspects, you have touched it, and it is a beautiful presentation. Now I would invite our colleagues who are with us, just raise your hand, and Dr. Shubham Bhatia, who is doing, and Mr. Shivam Ahuja, they are I would say that they are working behind the scene. All of us are floating.
I certainly, I apologize. In fact, Shubham and Shivam, both of them, amazing kids. I think you've given them great values, and you are proud of them. And I think every parent would like to have children like that, and that's wonderful, sir.
Mr. Shiv Khera, I am just reminded of one of your stories, and I have told so many people about this small story, which I had learned when you had spoken for the first time, when I was the speaker in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and after that you were the speaker, and you listened to my presentation also on robotic surgery, I think, and then you mentioned so many times one story which you told, and I would just tell that story, and then I ask our other colleagues who have joined us, that one of the parents had taken their children to Pragati Maidan for entry. So when the person reached the counter, he said that give me 2 adult tickets and 2 half tickets. The person who was sitting on the counter said that, no, how many of you are there? See, he said that we are 4 in number. So what is the age of your younger child? The person says that the younger child is 6 years old. So she says, no, I will give you 2 adult tickets and 1 child ticket, because this young child is looking to be less than 5, and less than 5 is free of cost. No, the person says, if I tell a lie today in front of my children, they will always tell lie anytime and every time in life. I think this was a very, very important lesson, to have those value addition, and that I have learned, and we have tried our best to pass on to our younger generation. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much. Thank you very much for giving that small story and small insight, and that for us also, these soft values are more important than anything else in life. So
Thank you.
may I request
Thank you, Mr. Khera. Thank you. Thank you for being part with the Tax Law Educare Society. And you always, whenever I need your time, you always ready to give talk to Tax Law Educare Society. Thank you. Thank you for your.
You're doing a
And
great job.
now I request Shivam and Shubham to please ask questions, because they are waiting.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. It was an excellent presentation, and it
Can you
was
speak a little louder?
absolutely, sir. It was an amazing presentation, and we had a great time. And it was
Thank you.
hard for us as being the moderators on the back end to keep track of your fan following. Like, there were so many people just wanting to share how big of a fan they are, how many books they have read of yours. There were even people mentioning they have gifted your book single-handedly to more than 200 people, 200 friends and colleagues. So we've been trying to track down on the chat, and some of the questions we have figured out are: first, we have Mr. Ashok Bhatia from Ahmedabad, who would like to ask his question directly to you, sir. So,
Okay.
Mr. Ashok Bhatia, I'm going ahead and unmuting you.
Sure. Am I audible there?
yes.
Wow.
Okay. First of all, Shiv, very nice seeing you after 25 years when I attended your course on behalf of my company at Ahmedabad. And then I think at one time in Ames, we were co-speakers. Of course, we could meet because I had an early flight on that day. You have spoken very well on physical challenges and psychological challenges. I don't think I need to repeat anything. But on behalf of, as a representative of industry, I like to ask a question, and before that, make a comment on the economic challenge. See, today, many businesses, we know that they are going into a lot of challenges, and they will go through challenges. Therefore, to the businessmen, to the employers, I have a comment, and I want your endorsement subsequently. 4 points today are very, very critical for them. Number one is they need to take care of their employees' morale, safety, and upskilling them for the future. So they need to invest today time, energy, whatever they have on that. Second is they need to be thinking very innovatively on business continuity. How do they continue their business in these tough times and maybe do even better in the good times? You very rightly said emergency fund, we call it cash flow management. I think every businessman need to be worried about that, how to meet their expenses for the next 3 to 4 months. And the last is very important, that could they see some new opportunities emerging out of COVID, okay, and do some newer businesses. So that's for the employers. But I have a question for employees. Many youngsters today are sitting at home, and some of them are really worried, thinking that tomorrow it may so happen that many jobs may become redundant and the jobs may have to be rationalized. So what would you advise to youngsters to improve their productivity in such a way that when things become normal, they can add more value to their organizations, bring better revenues to them, so that they do not have to suffer that kind of days where, they could be retrenched in the jobs. So since you speak very well on productivity enhancement, so I'd like you to give some tips to these youngsters.
Well, Ashok, I think there are multiple questions right here. But all I can say to you is that I think this period, which is called a downtime, see, earlier we are looking at only uptime, and nobody had the time to actually upskill ourselves or enhance our skills. We didn't have the time. Actually, we did, but we never had inclination. Our priority was not there. Anyway, and the people who got into a continuous education program, they kept abreast and they kept moving. And Singapore government has, we need to learn a lot from them. They have a lockdown themselves, and they have probably created a fund of close to $4 or $5 billion. And they said that this is all downtime. This is the time to upgrade our skills and move forward with it, because when time turns around, at that time, there will not be any gestation period, no waiting period at that time. You just shoot up at that point. You will be prepared. You know something, the saddest part of a person's life is when opportunity knocks and we are not prepared. Hear this carefully. The saddest part of a person's life is when opportunity knocks and we are not prepared. And the 80-20 rule applies. And the 80 rule is basically saying only 20% people are really probably moving up. And many times we've had 100,000 people go through our 3-day leadership programs, and people ask, how effective is it? I said, probably 10% practice 90%, and 90% practice 10%. And the ones that do practice 90%, they are the ones, I mean, we have testimonials. You will, I don't want to go into those. I mean, I'll just give you 2 names. One guy was a jail convict, and today in Singapore, the guy is running a business with 300 people working with Coca-Cola as his client. I mean, his name is Anil David. I mean, he's on the net. He was convicted in jail for 10 years, and he read my book. And he said, when I came out from the book, nobody would hire me. Nobody hires a convict. He says, I was not getting a job. Eventually, he got a job for $900. And then he said, I must do something else, because how long can I go on like this? He's got a family. He's got 2 daughters and a wife. And the daughters didn't even want to see him. 10 years he was in jail. Nobody wanted to see him. And he said, but I must turn back my life. And he changed. And he said, now, since nobody's hiring me, I must do selling. So he got my book, You Can Sell. And he said, I went through and through. He said, then he started a little program where he read one line in the book, You Can Sell. He said, selling profession, a commission salesperson is the highest sales profession, highest profession in the world. Highest paying profession in the world is the profession of a commission salesperson, higher than anything else. He said, that little sentence stuck in my head. And he said, I started a little company on sales, and now he's got a call center. He employs 300 people. And imagine, out of the 300, 200 are jail inmates. Hello?
Yes.
200 are jail inmates. He's got a call center in the jail, and the government of Singapore has honored him. And he says, my turning point was your book. I had another lady from Australia sent a note to me. She was having a major problem with her family, and she was looking to commit suicide. And she said, I took the bus, was going to the lake. I had a paraphernalia, commit suicide. The bus stopped for refueling and for refreshing people. And she said, I looked down there, and at the stand downstairs, your book was lying there. You can win. She said, I went and stopped and picked up the book. And she said, I started reading the book. I got so engrossed, I missed my bus. The bus went away. And she said, after reading through, she said, what am I doing? Why should I commit suicide? And she said, I threw all the paraphernalia, went back home. And she said, I turned my life. And eventually, of course, she had a divorce, whatever happened. She's in Australia. She has a daughter. A daughter has just done law. You see, her daughter has just finished law, Praveen. And she said, I have a business I'm running there. And she said, I'm just, that was my turning point. Look, you know something? My wife has been talking to me and asking me, when will you retire? When will you retire? Well, I turned 70. When will you retire? And I've been telling her this year, this is my last year. And you know what she says? You've been saying the same thing for the last 10 years. Yes. You know, but when I read letters like Anil David, or this lady, her name is Manpreet Kaur, and from Australia, when I read such letters, I just think to myself, I'm never going to retire. I'm going to die standing doing a bloody seminar. I'm not retiring.
Would definitely sum
I'm
up.
going to go on my feet. That's the way I am. So look, you talked of reskilling and unemployment. Ask people who are people like Dr. Bhatia, Arun, and many others who are self-employed. There's massive unemployment. But for people like you, me, and many other people, it's hard to find good people to work. Are you with me? It is very hard to find good people to work. And Ashok, the point that you have made, actually, we need to bring home to those people. Why are they not able to find jobs? You know what they say? There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition. And my answer to that is, I was doing a program. There were almost 200 people. It was a mixed group. There were doctors, engineers, attorneys, accountants, carpenters, plumbers, electricians. That's a mixed group. And as I walked in, I said, never in the history of mankind has it been so easy to succeed in life the way it is today. Regardless of your profession, we have no competition. I repeated myself twice. So one person nudged his partner, said, what's the matter with this guy? Does he start drinking in the morning? I heard the comment went up to him. He said, tell me, how come we have no competition? I asked him this one question, and I'm asking all the audiences the same question, including you, Ashok. And I asked him, how many people do you know right now walking off the street who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? How many? How many people do you know right now walking off the street who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? Hardly any. Most people don't even want to do what they get paid for. There's a second big category of people who only want to do what they can get by with. There's a very small fraction of people who are willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for. And I asked him, if you fall into that small fraction, I don't care what your profession is, tell me, where's your competition? You know something? You can't even find a good attorney today. You can't find a good accountant today. You can't find a good carpenter. You can't find a good plumber. You can't find a good anything. Question is, are you willing to do a little bit more than what you get paid for? And if you look at the life histories of people who have succeeded and then sustained success, keep in mind, success is one thing, sustaining success is another, and maintaining goodwill. They have all lived by this one principle. And that principle is, I shall always give more than what I get to my family. I shall always give more than what I get to my customer. I shall always give more than what I get to my organization. And I shall always give more than what I get to my country. Tell me, if we live by this one principle, tell me, where's the competition? We have none. You see, I didn't mention this to you. My academic qualifications are, I'm BCom 3rd division, failed in my 10th. I left India and started life washing cars door to door with a bucket in my hand. I'm not a qualified beyond that. Those are my academics. But we are booked for a year in advance. In the last 30 years, we have not made one outbound call for corporate business. Why? And I'm grateful to God. There are many more qualified people than us. Why do our clients hire us? Not because we are the smartest people, because our commitment to them is not 100%. It's always 200%. Where's the competition? We got none. So bottom line really comes down to, we need to get our basics right. We need to get our basics right. And those who ask you this question, ask them, are they willing to do a little bit more than what they get paid for? Probably that's the question you need to counter question them. And they'll get their own answers. And stop giving answers to them. Tell them to give answers. They should give answers.
Yes, Mr. Khera, I think there is no congestion in that extra mile. If we go ahead with extra mile, there is not much competition is there.
You know something, Praveen, sorry, forgive
Yes,
me.
sir.
You see, the new book that we launched, You Can Achieve More. There's a subtitle at the back which says, if you want to stand out, you need to do something outstanding.
Absolutely right.
And inside, I have mentioned that many people say, I want to have an extraordinary income. I want to have an extraordinary success. I want to have an extraordinary life. I want to have extraordinary everything. But they need to ask, are you an extraordinary person? Do you have extraordinary commitments in life? Are you willing to work extraordinarily hard in life? Do you have extraordinary relationships in life? Do you have extraordinary integrity in life? If you don't have any of these things, you can't get anything. And the most important thing is, you got to be something before you get anything. Repeat, we need to be something before we can get anything. But you know something, whenever anybody sees a success story, you know what they say? Must be at the right place at the right time. Must be lucky. This is incomplete sentence. You see, need to be the right place at the right time is important. But you need to be the right person at the right place at the right time. If you are not the right person, you could be at the right place at the right time and do nothing. But it is still incomplete. Not only do you need to be the right person at the right place at the right time, but also you need to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Now, you could be the right person at the right place at the right time and don't do the right thing. You still could be there, do nothing.
Mr. Khera, I can see the passion rolling out, coming out, and the compassion part we have already seen. Now, Warren Buffett was also asked that at what age are you going to retire? You are 82 now. At what age are you going to retire? And his answer was that I know of a lady, she retired at age of 102 and at 104 she died. So you want that I should die? So I think Shubham Bhatia is going to ask another question, another person. Yeah, go ahead, please, Shubham.
You've gone way up, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Shivam.
Yeah, so there are so many questions. That's why now Shivam and I are coordinating. So Shivam is taking care of YouTube Live. So I'll switch over to Shivam to ask a question from YouTube Live.
Yes.
Thank you.
So hello, sir. Firstly, it was a great presentation by you. People have enjoyed from all over the country. They have said that they're coming from Guatemala, Moscow, Russia, UK, and all over India has also joined from Mumbai, from Jaipur, from everywhere. So they are saying hi to you, sir. And
thank you. I'm grateful to you and grateful to all those people. I don't have words to express, you know, why they have pinched in, why they have come and joined into this presentation. All I can say is probably they have given me more than what I have probably given them. You know what they have given me? They have given me the time. And remember, time is more precious than money. Why have they given the time? You know why? Because they put the trust in me. And in life, you ask people, what is the greatest thing in the world? Preachers, even religious preachers tell you, love is the greatest thing in the world. But the way I see it, trust in many ways is a much greater compliment in life than love. There are people in life that we love, but we can't trust. So what all the viewers have given is their trust. And I do not have words to express my gratitude. Folks, I'm grateful to all of you, including all the organizers and both Shivam and Shubham, both of you boys. I would love to meet you in person, one-on-one, and your parents who've given you such great values. I don't have any more words. God bless all of you.
Mr. Shiv Khera, I think it is very nicely summed up that to be trusted is a greater compliment than being loved.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely fantastic. Shivam, go ahead, please.
Yes, the question is coming from Mr. Shrey Chavla that what is the importance of books? What is a non-reader missing? And is webinar and the YouTube things the future of India? And would it be an add-on to the books or would it replace the books altogether? What is the importance of books that that a person is missing?
Look, the answer to that one is, don't get technical, whether you are getting your positive information from the webinars or you're getting from the YouTube or you're getting from audiovisuals or wherever you are getting, or from books. Now you said, what is the importance of books? Let me share with you the importance of books. A good book, keep in mind, a good book gives you the wisdom of ages in a capsule form. I repeat, a good book gives you the wisdom of ages in a capsule form, and which helps us, gives us directions. It gives us directions in life and also helps us avoid pitfalls. You see, there are people who say we make mistakes and we need to learn from them. Yes, wise people learn from their mistakes, but wiser people learn from other people's mistakes because our lives are not long enough to make all of our own. But some people never learn. They keep repeating the mistakes and they become expert in making mistakes because that's what they practiced. Bottom line comes is, keep in mind, input determines output. That's a choice. Now, what book to read is a choice. And after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. So therefore, whether I personally, I used to read a lot of books, in between I dropped, but a week ago, I started reading a book again. Now, at the same time, I listen to YouTube, motivational tapes, almost 1 to 2 hours every day. I listen to motivational tapes every day at night before go to sleep, wake up in the morning. And many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, do you also get demotivated? I said, yes. And they asked me, then what do you do? I said, I read my book, you can win. Of course I get demotivated. But you need to pick yourself up.
Thank you.
Mr. Arun Ahuja, you want to say something? We have Dr. Shubham and Shivam. They are telling us that a lot of questions are there. But I think we should respect the time also, time of everyone. Mr. Arun Ahuja, Dr. Ravi Gupta, you want to?
It's okay. I mean, right now I'm not going socializing anywhere. I don't have commitment. So, and if you have,
now I request Dr. Ravi Gupta, President of the Tax Law Educator Society, to vote of thanks.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to you, Shiv Khera ji. It was wonderful listening to you.
Thank you,
I think everyone enjoyed it, and not only enjoyed it, they will learn out of it. And I think in these difficult times, they will try to make use of whatever tips you have given to them. And I think it will be a wonderful session for everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Khera.
Thank you, sir.
We enjoyed being with you and look forward to having you on more occasions with us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would say Dr. Ravi Gupta, Mr. Arun Ahuja, Meenakshi, Dr. Shubham Bhatia, Shivam Ahuja, and Mr. Shiv Khera, that it was a wonderful time. What wonderful time being spent on such a day when all of us are passing through some maybe pandemic kind of condition, but still it was so positive, and it was positive. Positivity was in the air. And we as in last few days, Arun Ahuja and this society has done so much that we had session on economic, on medical aspect, and so our thinking is that if you are not updated, you are outdated. Absolutely. So let us learn more about these teleconferencing. Let us be obviously going on having a distant socializing, and let us keep in touch. And if you have any of the audiences, if you have any kind of questions, you can email to Mr. Arun Ahuja or to Mr. Shiv Khera or to me anytime, and we can have a session after session, especially if the lockdown is extended. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
दोस्तों जुड़े रहिएगा हमारे YouTube चैनल से और हमारे ये Zoom मीटिंग सेशन से प्लीज और हमें अपने कमेंट्स दीजिएगा. Thank you sir. Thank you.
Arun, this is going to go on the YouTube, is that right?
Yeah, this is live on YouTube.
Okay.
And also,
No, Mr. Shiv Khera, the beauty of our younger people, younger children is that, can you imagine that last time when we had the presentation on this obesity and COVID, and after 2 hours, it was on the YouTube. And I think Mr. Shivam Ahuja and Dr. Shubham have made such an effort that it was live on YouTube, it was live on Facebook Live, it was live on the Zoom. But after 2 hours, they will be sending us the link so that it is on the YouTube, on the Tax Law Educator Society and our pages, and you can see all of the interview, all of the interaction. So let us give the 3 cheers to Mr. Shiv Khera first and to these young children who have done an excellent job.
Shubham, absolutely great job.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
We will see. I'll see what I said on the YouTube myself also after we.
You can unmute everyone.
Yeah.
Can you see all the audiences who have joined? Are you able to show them all?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It was really a nice session, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
So much.
Thank you, Arunji. Thank you, Tax Law Educator Society, for making us part of this group. Thank you. Thank you.
God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Same to you. Stay safe. Thank you. Happy Hanuman Jayanti, sir.
Thank you.